I can confirm that the Department of Defense was tracking a high-altitude object over Alaska airspace in the last 24 hours. The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the U.S. military shooting down yet another quote-unquote object in U.S. territorial water. Now, this particular object flew at an altitude of 40,000 feet. Now, this, they said, posed a risk to U.S. air flight because that's the altitude that a lot of planes will fly, between like 36 and 42. If that's inaccurate, y'all let me know in the comments below. But I do know that the altitude, a lot of your commercial, regular, normie planes that you get on fly at the same level. So if this particular thing was to come in contact with a plane, it would be a problem. Now, they don't know where it came from. This is according to the U.S. military. They don't know where it came from. They don't know where exactly it was going. And they can't say if it was a spy object or not. And it can't say if it was a balloon. Now, we all know why people would ask, hey, is it a balloon? Is it a spy object? Where did it come from? Because we just had the Chinese spy balloon controversy happen a few days ago. Let's go back to that right quick. Let me get to the new object, because there's quite a few questions and answers that remain. And the news is breaking right now as I'm doing this video. And today is, what's this, Friday, February 10th, 2023, right around 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So things are changing. But let's talk about the previous balloon, or excuse me, object, and then get back. Now, they saw the previous object. Now we know it was a Chinese spy balloon as soon as it left China. I was watching the press briefing from the Pentagon, and they said that they know how the Chinese spy balloon program works from watching it over the past few years. So as soon as the whole thing started, they knew it. Right when it was leaving China, they knew it. They saw it from the beginning. As it traversed throughout the U.S., they knew that it was being propelled. It was not just riding the wind. They knew what was going on, and they waited until it was done, basically with the mission to shoot it down. Now, their excuse was, well, we didn't want to shoot it down over a populated area because the debris field could fall and it could injure civilians. That was their reasoning. But then they came out and said, well, we want to track it just to be able to observe it and potentially see what it can do and get some reconnaissance. So it's like, okay, which is it? Did you want to track it to see what it could do and figure out more about the program? Or did you not want to shoot it down because it posed a risk to U.S. citizens? What's going on? Now, let's fast forward to this brand new object. They don't know what it is. They don't know if it's a balloon. They said it's much smaller than the first one. The first actual balloon was about 200 foot tall. And then the payload was like 3 buses put together. It was a very big payload, but the balloon itself was 200 foot tall. Very big object. You could see it at 66,000 feet from the ground level. It was very clear. But this new quote unquote object was the size of a small car. So that's a far cry from 200 foot tall to a small car. Nonetheless, it was seen coming from somewhere, and it did not appear to be, how can I say, it didn't appear to be steered. So they say it didn't have maneuverability, but they won't say if it was a balloon. So what could it have been? A paper plane? Like, what's going on? Anyway, they saw it in Alaska, or off the coast of Alaska within U.S. territorial waters, and they shot it down right there. Now, why couldn't they have shot the spy balloon down in that same place? Because they saw it in that same place as well. Why not? Oh, because maybe they wanted to do reconnaissance on the balloon. Maybe them spying was not really a big deal because they probably already didn't spy in some of them same places. Maybe that wasn't a big deal. Maybe the whole point was to be able to monitor that object to get some intel on it to use for the future. Maybe that was the whole purpose. Maybe some of the intel they gathered was used to find the smaller object that they just found and shot down recently. I don't know, but I digress. The point is the whole thing about, oh, we don't want to injure civilians, that's BS. I don't believe that. I think it's because there was another reason, meaning gathering reconnaissance. Now, what was this object? Was it a UFO? I doubt it. Could be. Who knows? They are now recovering the debris from the debris field. And it's going to be a little challenging because it was up there in the far northeastern part of the Alaskan coast, right by Canada, right by Prudhoe Bay. And obviously you're like in the Arctic Circle. So that's going to be an issue. You're trying to deal with frozen water and very cold water. If anything is not just on top of the ice and it went down to the ocean floor, that's going to be an issue. But I think they will be able to recover any debris and figure out what's going on. And the question, the $1 million question everybody has is, where does this thing come from? Is it Chinese in nature? Who knows? It could be. It very well could be. It probably is. It makes sense. If the first balloon came from China, I'll talk about that potentially in a minute, the whole if thing. If the first balloon came from China and that was shot down, and then China said, oh, give us the debris back, you shouldn't have shot it down, it's not your property. If that happened and the U.S. refused and China's angry, maybe they sent another balloon to test us to see, okay, you're going to shoot that down? Like, what are you going to do? It could be provocation. Maybe they sent a much smaller object to see if we can detect it, to test our military and see what we know. Because they don't know how we're going to react to a thing until they actually do it. So it could have been the test for that. But let's get back to it. The whole if it was a Chinese balloon in the beginning. Now, when they got the debris from the first balloon or the balloon off South Carolina, they saw English writing on it. So this means you probably had components from the good old US of A. A conspiracy, I guess you would say, would be that the US flew it up there and made a big distraction. I mean, that's possible. But if that's the case, then why would China respond talking about, we need the debris back, you shouldn't have done that, all this and that? Why would China say, oh, it's harmless? It's a weather? Why would they claim responsibility for the weather balloon or the spy balloon, whatever they want to call it? Why would they claim responsibility if it was not theirs? It doesn't make any sense at all. But I guess, anything's possible. I would not be surprised if the U.S. did that to create a distraction and then blame it on China. And then since China got blamed, now they got to react talking about, hey, we need the debris back. You shouldn't have done that. It's harmless. Don't worry about it. I don't know, but the facts are that the components and the debris had English writing on it, which means it probably came from the U.S. It's crazy because we don't make anything anymore. Like, everything is made over there in China. And then people are like, well, how did that happen? If it's Chinese, why does it have English writing? Well, maybe some third parties were able to procure some parts from private U.S. companies, and then somehow it made it to the PLA in China, CCP, whatever it is. Just maybe. I don't know. But the facts are that it had English writing on it. So a lot of the so-called spy balloon probably came from the U.S. Was it launched by the U.S.? I don't think so, but anything's possible. Now, as far as this most recent object, it could be anything. It probably came from China, probably another spy balloon or some kind of thing. It could have been a dangerous object because normally when you see an object like that, because that's happened before, you see objects floating around, spy balloons or what, drones. And what happens is they'll clear out the airspace. The FAA will say, okay, let's clear a particular airspace so planes don't fly in that direction. So then whatever the object is not pose a threat to flights, to commercial flights, because a lot of flights do go that direction. Because if you're going from US to like Japan, Russia, like some parts of that particular part of the world, sometimes going across the, I guess you would say, North Pole, the Arctic Circle is a quicker route to get from point A to point B because of how the Earth, is when you're talking about the curvature of the Earth. But I don't want to get into the whole flat Earth thing, so I digress. The whole point is that that area does have some air traffic. So it could have been the risk, but again, you could have just cleared the airspace rather than shooting the whole thing down. It could have been a bomb. It could have been anything. We don't know right now, and I think we'll probably find out pretty soon. But whatever the case may be, I think this was something different other than the first one. And the fact that it was shot down, in the Alaskan territorial waters lets us know that you could have shot the spy balloon down from the beginning as well. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What do you think this object is? A spy balloon, UFO, some kind of weapon? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. Whatever this thing is, probably came from China, and it's probably a way to test us to see where we're at. What are we going to do? Can we see it? How are we going to react to it? We're probably doing reconnaissance on them and vice versa. They're seeing how we're going to react to certain things, how long we're going to let it go, how we're going to look at it, and then we're seeing what do they have, how big is it, what are the capabilities, can it maneuver? We're all trying to learn each other, and we're doing certain things that may provoke a nation when you see it in the eyes of the public. And also, one more thing before I close. The only reason why this is even known to the public right now, at least, is because a reporter asked a question during a press briefing. Like, hey, did y'all shoot something down in the Arctic by Alaska? Like, what's going on with that? And then the question was answered. Talk about burying the lead. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.